in public speaking and audience analysis, this is probably one of the most important aspects of public speaking, because anytime, no matter what, if you're going to be speaking to any audience, you have to think, who is in this audience? Why do you think that might be important?
Because that affects your tone and what you say and how you say it.
Good. Anybody else? Bobby, what do you think? Why is it important? Good, yeah. All these things are right. Audience analysis is something that we start with today because of its importance. It is foundational. And we'll look a little bit later today about specific purpose, general purpose, those types of things. But it all boils down around, kind of circles around this audience. Because the truth is if I do my 50 hours of research and preparation and all those things, and I present to an audience, and what I have to say and how I say it is not really interesting to that audience, doesn't really appeal to that audience, what am I doing? I'm wasting my time, right? Exactly, I'm wasting my time. So, from choosing a topic all the way to the presentation, everything that goes in between has to be toward this audience. I have to know who makes up my audience. So today we're going to look at audience analysis. So looking at what makes up an audience. We have to be audience-centered. This is this idea that I've just talked about. When you get your textbook, these terms are probably in the sidebar along the way. So if you don't get everything written down, you can get this over in your textbook. And being audience-centered, everything I do is for those audience. Like that. Was it? No, it's true. Everything. Singing. Do it for you. Thank you very much. I tried to do it for you. Exactly right. You do it for this audience. It's not for you. You may think this would be a great topic. This would be something I'd be interested in. Well, good for you. But you're going to stand in front of an audience for 5, 10 minutes. And you hammer on about something you're interested in, and they're not. Well, you're going to lose their attention pretty quickly. So being audience-centered is very important. Also important is this process of identification. We want to help our audience feel as though we are connected to them in some way. Identification. You ever heard somebody say, well, I really identify with this person? You ever heard that before? And what does that mean, right? It means that they relate to this person, right? Well, you want that with your audience. You may be standing in front of a group of complete strangers. However, you want them, but you've never shaken their hand, you've never met them, you've never eaten with them, you've never spent any time with these people. You want them very quickly to feel like they know you and that you are likable and that you have something in common. And that's a real important part of identification, is showing that you have something in common. Have you ever sat in a classroom like this and maybe you're a long way from home? You think, nobody here is like me. But in the first day of class, the teacher says, well, let's go around the room and say where we're from, like we did the other day. And you say, well, I'm so-and-so from Kansas. And everybody else is from Alabama. But it gets over way across the room. And a complete stranger says, I'm from such and such Kansas. You kind of perk up a little bit, don't you? You start looking over there. And you may be from a small town in eastern Kansas. They may be from a small town in western Kansas. Kansas is a long state. That's hundreds of miles away, right? You don't know this person. You would have never known this person. You don't care to know this person. However, all of a sudden, what do you have? Yeah, a bond, right? A commonality with this person. All of a sudden, it's like we're friends, right? And probably after class, I might not do this, but you might do this. After class, you might go find that person, right? Say, hey, you're from Kansas. I'm from Kansas too. And you're excited about that. Hundreds of miles apart. But it's exciting to you. So, you can use this in public speaking. So we find things that this audience might know about or care about, and it's of value to them, and all I have to do is just mention that. Mention it. I don't have to talk about it for 5 or 10 minutes. If I just mention something that appeals to this audience, well, they might think, this person's cool, this person knows what I know about, cares about me, knows something about me, we're similar, have a similar background, and that appeals to your audience. This is very powerful, this process of identification of what it seems like a long time ago now, but it was only maybe 3 years ago, I guess, when the political campaigns for the last election were going in full force. Well, Mike Huckabee came to campus here, and he had a big thing in the gym, a big pep rally type thing in the gym, whatever you call this, political rally, and he said some things. He's not from Alabama. He could seem distant from us. I don't know if any of you would have been there. You guys there when he came?
I have friends up there.
Okay. All right. He did some very interesting things. He stood there and said, mentioned some things that are important to residents in Alabama. What might that be, do you think? What's important to Alabama people? Hunting and football. You're right. Schools should be, right? But the truth is, it's hunting and football. You're exactly right. So he mentions SEC football. He's from Arkansas. They're still an SEC football team. And so, yeah, that's right, SEC. They're a rival, however, it's still in the same conference. So people would kind of perk up. This guy cares about football. Hunting and fishing, he brings that. He even brought a guy who founded the Buckmasters here in the area, or the bass fishing thing, I forget which. He was there with him, is relating that to us. I'm one of you. He mentioned not being born with a silver spoon in his mouth. What does that mean? Who's born with a spoon in their mouth, really? What does that mean? What's that? Wasn't born rich, right? When we're supposed to, right? It didn't come easy. And we're supposed to think, what did he do for himself? Pulled himself up, right, by his own bootstraps. Ooh, we like that, right? We have value in that. And we think, us as not rich people, we think, he's just like us. As a matter of fact, he's probably super wealthy and very, very different from us. However, you can say a few things, right? And your audience starts to think, this Huckabee guy, we're not too different after all, right? So, its identification is very powerful. Opposite of that, however, is separating yourself from your audience. If you want to alienate yourself and really help your audience not like you and not listen to you, and then, in the long run, in Huckabee's case, not vote for you, well, then you would want to involve what is called egocentrism. Separating yourself, saying, I am, or really anything about me, whether it be egocentrism, which is me-centered, or this ethnocentrism, which is me and my culture or subculture, is better than you and your subculture. Anything with this centrism idea, ego, ethno, but egocentrism is individual. I am better than you. Can you tell when somebody thinks that? Yeah? How?
They talk about themselves a lot.
Okay, yeah. Talk about ourselves a lot.
Tone of voice towards you.
Tone of voice.
And then I nose at you.
Yeah, good. Looking down. Kind of talking at you, right? I'm not having a conversation with you. I'm talking at you instead of speaking with you. So egocentrism, it separates you. It's what you want to avoid. Okay, let's look at a couple different ways to analyze an audience. First one is demographic, and there are some demographic audience analysis factors listed out here. These are not necessarily all of them. These are a few to give you an idea. We're going to look at demographics today, and we're going to look at situational analysis. There are other ways to analyze an audience, like a psychographic analysis, but we don't really get into that depth here. You base what you say and how you say it on these things. First one is age. Let me give you a second to write some of these down. Age, gender, racial, ethnic, and cultural background, religion, and group membership. You're trying to do two things here. You're trying to appeal to an audience, and you're trying to avoid offending anybody by knowing these things. If you look at marketers today, people who market products to you through internet, billboard, radio, television, those types of things, they look at you based on these types of things. If you and a group of people who drive the same car as you, have the same social status bracket, have the same cultural, ethnic, religion, and you live in the same area, well, they're going to market to you, aren't they, in that area? So they know who you are and how to market to you. This is a lot of